The glowing lights, the peaceful carols, the quiet hum of a family gathered together. This is Christmas as we know it, a time of peace, love, and goodwill. But what if I told you that beneath the serene surface lies a history that is anything but peaceful? A story of wild pagan festivals, forbidden rituals, a ghostly winter god, and a holiday so rowdy it had to be outlawed. The familiar Christmas you celebrate is a modern invention, a carefully constructed dream. Tonight, we peel back the layers of tinsel and time to uncover the shadows of Yuletide, the untold history of Christmas. Before there were stockings by the fire, there was a deep, primal fear of the dark. For ancient civilizations, the winter solstice was a terrifying moment. The sun, the source of all life, was at its weakest, seemingly dying. It was the longest night of the year, a time when the veil between worlds was thin, and darkness reigned. To combat this cosmic dread, they didn't pray quietly, they partied. They lit massive bonfires to beckon the sun back, feasted to show defiance against famine, and celebrated life in the face of the encroaching cold. This wasn't just a party, it was a psychological survival mechanism, a desperate shout into the void of winter, begging for the light to return. Our story takes a crucial turn in ancient Rome, the heart of an empire. Long before the first Christmas carol was sung, Romans celebrated Saturnalia in mid-December. This wasn't a quiet, reverent affair. It was a week-long, society-flipping extravaganza. All business and government shut down. The moral code was temporarily suspended. Slaves were served by their masters, gambling was rampant in the streets, and a lord of Misrule was chosen to preside over the chaos. It was a time of feasting, gift-giving, and joyous anarchy. Sound familiar? But there was another, even more significant festival. On December 25th, the Romans celebrated Dies Natalis Solis Invicti, the birthday of the unconquered sun. As the days finally began to lengthen after the solstice, it was seen as the sun's rebirth. This date, celebrating a pagan solar deity, was the most important day of the year for many in the late Roman Empire. It was a powerful symbol of light triumphing over darkness, and it was a date that a new, rising religion would find very convenient. As Rome's influence spread, it encountered the powerful cultures of Northern Europe. Here, in the snow-covered lands of the Norse and Germanic tribes, the winter festival was known as Yule. This was a 12-day observance filled with feasting, drinking, and rituals centered around the Yule log, which was burned to honor the gods and conquer the darkness. But Yule had a darker, more mystical side. It was the time of the wild hunt, a ghostly procession that tore across the winter sky, led by the Allfather, Odin, a formidable, long-bearded figure riding a flying 8-legged horse. Odin would soar through the night, visiting his people, leaving gifts for the worthy and punishment for the wicked. A bearded old man flying through the sky at midwinter, deciding who's naughty or nice. The parallels are hard to ignore. When Christianity began to spread across Europe, it faced a dilemma. How do you convert a population deeply attached to these powerful, ancient traditions? The answer wasn't to abolish them, but to absorb them. In the 4th century, the church made a strategic decision. With no actual birth date for Jesus mentioned in the scriptures, and with shepherds watching their flocks by night, something unlikely in the cold of a Judean winter, Pope Julius I officially declared December 25th as the date of Christ's birth. It was a brilliant move. The celebration of the Son of God replaced the celebration of the unconquered Son, allowing new converts to keep their beloved festival date while recontextualizing its meaning. The pagan solstice festival was Christianized. Saturnalia's gift-giving and Yule's festive trees were folded into the new tradition. Christmas wasn't born from Scripture, it was a strategic compromise. But this fusion of pagan and Christian traditions didn't sit well with everyone. Fast forward to the 17th century. When the devoutly religious Puritans came to power in England and settled in America, they saw Christmas not as a holy day, but as a blasphemous, pagan remnant. They were disgusted by the feasting, drinking, and disorder. To them, it was Foolstide, not Christmas. So they did something that seems unthinkable today. They banned it. In 1659, the Massachusetts Bay Colony passed a law making any observance of Christmas a criminal offense, punishable by a 5-shilling fine. For the Puritans, there was only one day of worship, the Sabbath. The war on Christmas isn't a modern cable news invention. It was a real, legal battle fought by the founders of America. Even after the ban was lifted, Christmas in America was nothing like the family holiday we know. In the cities, it was a time of social chaos. Drunken mobs of the working class would roam the streets, demanding food and drink from the wealthy, sometimes resorting to vandalism and violence if they were refused. It was a time of class tension and public disorder, a rowdy, intimidating street party that the upper classes dreaded each year. The holiday was on the verge of being abandoned altogether as a public nuisance. Then, everything changed. The Christmas we celebrate today wasn't revived. It was invented, largely by a handful of influential writers and tastemakers in the 19th century. In 1819, author Washington Irving published a series of stories romanticizing a fictional, quaint English Christmas filled with harmony, tradition, and peaceful family gatherings. His vision captured the imagination of the American elite, who longed to tame the holiday's chaotic street party roots. Then came the poem. In 1823, A Visit from St. Nicholas, You Know It As 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, was published. Anonymously attributed to Clement Clarke Moore, it solidified the image of a jolly, magical Santa Claus with a sleigh and 8 reindeer, transforming the fearsome Odin-like figure into a benevolent gift-bringer for children. The final, crucial piece of the puzzle was Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol in 1843. This powerful story wasn't just a ghost tale. It was a social manifesto that redefined Christmas as a time for family, charity, and goodwill toward all. Across the Atlantic, Queen Victoria's German husband, Prince Albert, popularized the Christmas tree in Britain. These cultural forces combined to perform a great reinvention. They took Christmas out of the streets and placed it squarely in the home, turning it from a drunken public riot into a private, child-centric, family celebration. With the new framework of a family-friendly holiday in place, the 20th century was ready to build the commercial empire of Christmas. The final, iconic image of Santa Claus was cemented in the 1930s. Artist Haddon Sundblom was commissioned by the Coca-Cola Company for a series of magazine ads. His paintings of a warm, rosy-cheeked, grandfatherly Santa in a red suit became the definitive version, broadcast into every home. Coca-Cola didn't invent Santa, but they branded him. Then, in 1939, a Montgomery Ward copywriter named Robert L. May created a story about a misfit reindeer with a glowing red nose to be given away to shoppers. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer became a global phenomenon. From ancient bonfires warding off the darkness, to Roman debauchery, to a ghostly Norse god, to a Puritan band, and a Victorian reinvention, the path of Christmas is a winding and fascinating one. The holiday you love is a complex tapestry woven from threads of paganism, politics, poetry, and commerce. So this year, as you gather around your Christmas tree, remember the deep, dark, and wild history that flickers just beneath the surface of the silent night. It's a story of how we, as humans, have always sought light in the darkness and found reason to celebrate, no matter what name we call it. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as I did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more hidden histories.